In the last couple of weeks, I got 2 notices in the mail, pictures, that I got 2, let me think, a grandnephew, no, a great-nephew, grandnephew and a grandniece that were born in December. If you looked at these baby pictures,
He's on the phone.
looks like the same kid.
Calling it in.
One of them is in Swansea, one of them is in Lubbock,
I'm not there to
Texas.
keep them on track, so they can turn it on now.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Wednesday, March 15th, 2017. At this point, we invite you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting of March 1st and the minutes of an executive session on September 27th, 2016 be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And next, approval of the warrants.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrant 37A-17 in the amount of $76,184.57 payroll, and warrant 37B-17 in the amount of $136,646.98 accounts payable be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. That motion carries unanimously. Correspondence. Tonight we have under the heading recent food recalls that have been issued. I'll give everybody.
I don't think I want to eat anything.
First one I have here is Gerber, which we all know Gerber products. Issues an allergy alert to clarify egg labeling for cheese ravioli pasta pickups. Gerber Products Company of Florham Park, New Jersey, is initiating a voluntary recall of cheese ravioli Gerber pasta pickups because the egg allergen is missing from the contains statement. The full ingredient list on the package does list egg as an ingredient. However, the contain statement, designed to further alert parents to allergens in the recipe, did not include egg as is required. Only consumers who have an allergy or severe sensitivity to egg are at risk of serious allergic reaction if they consume this product. That one is egg cheese ravioli pasta pickups. The second one is Nana Foods issues allergy alert on undeclared milk in Lydia's marinara sauce. These jars, I just want to make sure, yes, they were distributed in retail stores in Massachusetts, Rhode Island. No, not Rhode Island, I'm sorry, Massachusetts. This product is a 25-ounce glass jar. The recall was initiated after it was discovered that a small percentage of Lydia's vodka sauce jars, which contained milk, was incorrectly labeled with marinara sauce label. Lydia's marinara sauce does not contain milk. Subsequent investigation showed that the issue was caused by the application of incorrect labels during the packaging process, and it was an isolated incident. The recall is limited to approximately 750 jars. So if anyone has bought this marinara sauce with Lydia's picture on it, bring it right back to where you bought it. I bought it for a full refund.
If any of you watch Lydia's Kitchen on TV, it's the same person. That's one of her brands, so it'll be familiar to you. You want me to do this one next? This is from the Commonwealth. Foodborne Illness and Response Analyst, Mass Department of Public Health, Bureau of Environmental Health, Food Protection Program. On March 4th, 2017, the Soy Nut Butter Company announced a voluntary recall of the letters I.M., Healthy, Original Creamy Soy Nut Butter Product because of possible contamination with Escherichia coli bacteria, and has now expanded the recall to include all varieties of I.M. Healthy soy nut butters and all varieties of I.M. Healthy products due to potential E. coli contamination. For further information and complete recall product list, contact the www.fda.gov/safety/recalls. Or you can go on Google and put in I am healthy. I am healthy, and it's a food recall. I am healthy soy nut butter, and I'm sure it will bring up the granola product. At this time, we do not have a distribution list. While conducting routine inspections in the next 2 weeks, could you please have inspectors verify that these products have been removed from sale at establishments likely to carry them, such as grocery stores? No pictures of that.
I have one that says, Whole Foods Market recalls cheeses from 9 stores because of possible health risk. So in response to Volto Creamery's recall of soft wash rind raw milk cheeses, Whole Foods is voluntarily recalling the products from 9 stores in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, and New York out of an abundance of caution. The cheeses have potential to be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. No illnesses have been reported to date, and this was March 8th, 2017. The recall includes Volto Creamery, Uliout, and Miranda Soft wash rind raw milk cheeses, which were cut and packaged in clear plastic wrap with scale labels beginning with PLU codes 0200305 and 0200306, and sell-by dates from December 27th, 2016 to March 28th, 2017. Uliout products were sold at the following Whole Foods Market stores: 350 Grassmere Avenue in Fairfield, Connecticut, and 115 Prospect Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Miranda products were sold at the following Whole Foods Market stores: 170 Great Road in Bedford, Mass., 575 Worcester Road in Framingham, Mass., or 647 Washington Street in Newton, Mass. They then gave an updated release on the 11th of 2017, which says that Volto Creamery voluntarily expands their recall of all raw milk cheeses because of possible Listeria monocytogenes contamination. So they also added that the raw milk cheeses were distributed nationwide, with most being sold at retail locations in the northeastern and mid-Atlantic states, as I mentioned before. It does say here that the particular strain of Listeria monocytogenes found in the New York Department of Agriculture and Markets was found to be similar to the strain isolated from a cluster outbreak of listeriosis responsible for 6 illnesses and 2 confirmed deaths. Consumers with any questions or seeking additional information can call 607-222-3995. Normal hours of operations are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., or you may send an email to voltocreamery@gmail.com.
Moving along under correspondence, we were handed a correspondence this morning from a concerned resident regarding recent events, and I believe Selectman Goulart has it.
Yes, I asked that this be placed on the agenda. Since I'm going to read this is public information, so if anybody wants a copy, you're free to take it. I don't normally announce at a public meeting something that is unsigned. However, I think in light of what has been said, I think it's important. I know there have been questions asked, and I can personally answer, at least respond to one of the issues that's raised here. Stated March 14, 2017, Dayton Selectmen. I am writing this letter while stranded in the house during our latest New England snowstorm. You won't see a signature at the end of this letter, but that doesn't mean its words are any less true and accurate. I wish to remain anonymous because I plan to cite specific people and events and want to prevent my relationship with some town officials from changing once this letter is read, hopefully by many. On my way to work in the morning last week, I was stuck in traffic at the Center Street intersection. Much more traffic than usual. Once I caught a glimpse of the reason, I was gravely surprised, to say the least. Sitting through 3 light changes, I was able to get an eye-opening glimpse of the candidate for selectman, quote, Taylor, unquote. He had people on almost every street corner of that intersection, causing confusion and traffic backups like none other. Of course, there were the usual political faces from the audience of the selectmen's meetings I watch on television, except for 2. I saw a current selectman and a veteran police officer at the event. When I saw the officer, I thought there was an accident, explaining the traffic, in parentheses, more on that later, close parentheses. Or he was asking the people to stop causing the confusion. But no, the officer was laughing and joking with the people as if he supported their cause. How can a member of the Dayton Police Force, dressed in uniform, support a political candidate? I found out later in the day that from, quote, small talk at work, unquote, that there indeed was an accident caused by the traffic, and it, quote, involved a school bus, unquote. Are you kidding me? What kind of people in town are we a part of? There's no problem with political campaigning, but not at the expense of innocent people. What kind of selectman will Taylor make if he can't realize a simple public safety concern? And what kind of police officer would allow it to happen? I'm going to stop reading right there and explain something. I was contacted about a school bus accident at the intersection or in the vicinity of the Center Street, Old Somerset Avenue stoplights. My first concern was, were there any children on the bus? And secondly, whose school bus was it? We have 3 different sets of buses come through this town. Obviously, we have our local schools, H&L Bloom. We have the Aggie School buses, and I think it's Amaral Transportation. And we also have, and I think it's H&L Bloom, Berkeley's buses going to the Berkeley Somerset Regional School District. I know that used to be H&L Bloom. It's either H&L Bloom or it's Fisher. But in any case, there's 3 different sets of school buses coming through town. I called dispatch. There was no record of a school bus accident. I explained to the person at dispatch the information that had come into the selectman's office and wanted to know how could such a mistake happened. I mean, either there's a school bus accident or there isn't. So the dispatcher told me she would check with the officer on duty and find out what happened. A little while later, I received a phone call from the person who was mentioned in this letter, who was in uniform, in a cruiser, but not on duty at the intersection. He assured me that there was no school bus accident. What happened was a female driver blew through the flashing red lights of the school bus. I don't know if it's because they weren't paying attention. I don't know what happened. But the lights they passed were the school bus lights and not the red lights at the intersection. He went on to tell me that he was not on duty, so I guess it was before 8 o'clock in the morning. And when it happened, some of the people that were on the sidewalk said, "Did you see that? That car just blew past that bus with its red lights on." So this policeman called in and asked for one of the patrolmen on duty to please come out. The patrolman responded. My understanding was that the driver of the vehicle was given a warning. She was not issued a citation. So, just to clarify what this gentleman said about an accident, there was no school bus accident. It was not the stoplights, obviously, it was the red lights flashing on the school bus. It was one of our local buses because after the officer on duty gave the driver of the vehicle a warning, the school bus went on to the middle school. So that's what the incident was. It was not a school bus, but obviously there must have been children on the bus because the bus continued to the middle school. So that got cleared up that morning. The second person, so I'm returning to the letter now. The second person I was appalled by the current.
Excuse me, Mr. Dula, if I may, ma'am. I just think that this letter here is, it shouldn't be read unless there's a name on it, because you don't know if these facts are true or false. And a lot of it is, I was on the corner that morning myself, so a lot of what you read already is false. And I would hate to see you read the rest of this letter, because that is also false.
I take exception to that, Mr. Woods, because I have received phone calls prior to this coming in. If I hadn't been contacted by other people saying what is going on, I wouldn't bother to read this. I'm reading this because I want people out there, whoever wrote it, and the ones that called in and complained, to know we are aware of the complaints. There are conflict of interest issues that have been raised. I don't intend to pursue them, but I'm not going to ignore this kind of feedback, and I'm not going to ignore the people that called in, quite frankly, who were identified.
I would like, you finish the letter.
Now I'm going to finish the letter. I don't enjoy finding this kind of correspondence, but I'm not going to ignore because of the number of people who have said something about, without getting into another issue, the Friday work days, I didn't raise the issue, but I'm not going to ignore the people that brought that up, and we've got to deal with that. Based on this letter, which came in after the calls, after the congestion, I'll call it, at Center Street, which I was not aware of until the call started coming. I am not going to ignore the people that took the time. For whatever it's worth, I think if people take the time to speak up,
This letter
then
is
I have to
politically
follow it.
motivated, ma'am. Politically motivated.
I'm going to finish. I have the floor. The second person I was appalled by was current Selectman Zagrafis. My first thought was, why is he a sitting politician campaigning for a new member for the same board he sits on? How unethical is that? Regardless of whether it's legal or not, it's just wrong. I've seen a lot of selectmen in my days, but the current board seems to be the most poised, collected, professional, and productive, with a couple of exceptions, people have noticed. I'll get to those in a minute. The way this board has handled recent questionable conduct of employees, to have the foresight to support the abilities of our building inspector and bring aboard construction skilled labor to our highway department, it's been a pleasure to see this, the sense professionalism in a very dark time, and to start working sensibly toward progress in Dayton. But seeing Selectman Zagrafis that morning has made me realize that some exceptions to this progress exist, and he is probably the root of it. I understand that Dayton has decided to become a more, quote, green, unquote, to become more, quote, green, unquote. I remember a few years back, the Selectmen tried this, and thankfully our level-headed building inspector took the time to give the townspeople the pros and cons of being more green. We spoke and sent, quote, green, unquote, to other pastures. I also recently saw hundreds of energy-efficient bulbs in Town Hall. When I asked why haven't we installed them, I was told, quote, because it would hurt us to install them now if we became a green community, unquote. Really? How idiotic is that? That's it, more regulation. And by the way, quote, leaving the bulbs sitting in a box until the state tells us we can use them, unquote, is ridiculous. I also have seen the town's attempt to become more farm-friendly. This state is already one of the most farm-friendly there is. Dayton's farms have chosen to close because it's not economically viable anymore because of regulation. So let's make more regulation. That will fix the problem. Now, I don't know for sure if the newest member of the board is behind these efforts, but after seeing him in action last week, I'll bet the farm on it.
Have the floor and respond or clarify a few things.
Go ahead, you have a couple minutes.
Hey, first of all, I think it's outrageous that this letter was read at this meeting. The person who wrote this didn't identify themselves. The person that wrote this doesn't have their facts straight. As you pointed out, Sergeant Dutra walked down, not to campaign for me, he walked down to say hello. A woman went through by a school bus, and Sergeant Dutra pursued it, and then he called a police vehicle to come down, and they ticketed that person. Okay. Secondly, no one's talked to me. If that was a big problem and you were aware of that problem, why didn't somebody call me and tell me that was a problem? Because we might do it again.
I would suggest you don't.
Well, I would suggest that instead of reading something like this in public, that somebody talk to me and say, we thought there was a problem.
Well,
Secondly, let me finish my statement.
I will say it again. If enough people, if I got one letter, I wouldn't do anything. If enough people speak up,
I think I have a...
I can't ignore it.
Do I not have the floor, Nancy? Let me just finish what I have to say, because I don't disagree with you on that.
Thank
But
you.
let me fin-
Then what are we arguing about?
We're not arguing about it, we're arguing about...
No,
the
you
way-
just said you agree. Thank you. You have the floor.
It's ridiculous, but I'm going to proceed. We were down there, we were holding signs, like every candidate in the past several elections has held signs in that corner exactly like we did. And there was no complaints that I'm aware of, or nobody brought it up at a public meeting about it, okay? So if there's a change that we want to make, number one, the police should have been brought down there if we were obstructing traffic. We weren't obstructing traffic. They should have been brought down there, they should have told us to stop doing what we were doing. But
Who's
nobody
we?
saw, pardon me?
Who's we?
All of the people that supported me, that were holding signs out there that day.
We should have been brought down, or we should have been told.
If there was a problem with that blocking traffic that morning, the police should have come down and said to us, you're blocking the view of traffic and it's a hazard. Please move on. And I would have gladly done that. But we didn't have that opportunity. So I think that's very unfair. First of all, I don't know who this person is, but clearly this person has a vendetta against me and Mrs. Zagrafis. And I think it's outrageous that we're talking about this. I will speak to a few other things that I know quite a bit about, and that is the right to farm and the green communities. The right to farm doesn't make more regulation. The right to farm just gives farmers the ability to farm without things like dropping a little manure on the road is a big deal. I mean, we saw that last year when there was all this talk about manure on the road. It gives a farmer a right to farm without being hassled for what he's doing, because we want farming in this community. As far as the green communities, I don't think anybody knows enough about green communities. And I believe Mrs. DeGraffis has pushed that aside until we can find more out about green communities. As far as him supporting me, he has the right to support anybody he wants, and that's his right.
As long as he stays in with the ethics rules and regulations.
And he was in the ethics.
Which in effect say, if I were running for re-election this year, I can campaign for myself, that's not a problem. But as a sitting member of the board, I don't have the right to go out and publicly campaign for you. I can tell you this as an employee of the state for many years. That was made clear to all of us, regardless of who the candidate was at whatever level. As state employees, you were not allowed to do that because it violated the ethics law, which filters down to the local government.
As an employee of the state or the town, I would agree 100%. He's an elected official. Elected officials all the time
come under the ethics law.
I think you should check on that, because I don't believe you're correct. I'm absolutely sure you're not correct.
I welcome anyone to check on that. I have spoke to ethics. I have filed a disclosure with the town clerk. Anybody watching tonight can read it.
The last thing I want to say is, I absolutely agree with you. If people make a complaint, we should respond to it. We should deal with it. But this is not the forum to deal with an anonymous complaint that criticizes me for something I've done, criticizes Mr. Graffis for something he's done, without having the fortitude come up here and sit before us and talk about these things.
I think it's rather obvious why a person wouldn't speak up, and I will say it again. If this had been a single instant, I wouldn't have read it. The fact that I came into work that morning, I hadn't gone down the road, I didn't know about congestion, traffic backups, school buses, or anything.
Number one, there was no traffic backup, there was no school bus backup.
Well, this person said they sat through 3 changes of lights.
That was not because of us, there was a tremendous amount of traffic there. That's ridiculous, I mean, geez.
I want to know how this letter got chosen. We get a lot of correspondence.
Let me say one last thing, and then I'm done. This should not come up in this form, and when I become selectman, this will never come up this way. This is outrageous. This is an attack on me, an attack on Mr. Zagrafis, without basis. If the selectmen or the police were concerned about what I was doing, you had a responsibility to talk to me about it.
I wasn't aware of it till people started complaining,
Well,
and you were gone by then.
Whenever they started complaining, before we come to this meeting, you should have talked to me.
And how would you have resolved the history?
It wouldn't have been resolved, but I would have corrected a few facts here. Number one, there was no backup because of us, it was a backup because of a tremendous amount of traffic that morning. Secondly, there was no school bus accident, there was a sergeant...
I already addressed that. That was the first thing, and my main
read it here,
concern...
Nancy, and it's inappropriate.
My main concern was the school bus report.
Okay.
I heard about people, I heard about signs, I heard about congestion. It was the school bus report
I understand.
that caused me to investigate it, and I wanted the person who wrote this to know. As soon as I heard about a school bus accident, I immediately called to get info, and I wanted the author of this letter to know there was not a school bus accident. We know whose bus was involved, we know what the incident was.
You didn't need to read the whole letter to get to that point. The last thing I want to say...
I won't selectively edit something that somebody sends in.
That's fine, you can do what you
Now-
want. That's up to you, that's between you and...
Also, I just want you to know right now, there's going to be a meeting of the Board of Health next Wednesday night at 6:30.
Yep.
The meeting is being called because I have gotten 3 emails about a situation we have to deal with.
On
It's
this,
being-
my situation, this situation?
No, Board of Health. Those complaints came in about a circumstance that we have to investigate, which will be done shortly.
Sure.
The location of the incidents will be made public, and the people involved have been invited in.
Sure.
If they choose to come, fine. Spoken to one person, not sure if he can make it, but I said, that's all right, because I'm making you aware this is going to come up. So I will again say, if anyone has one complaint, and you send it to me, unless it's a threat to public health or public safety, I'm probably not gonna do much with it, except contact you if you identify yourself. But when I get, let me say, oral, written, whatever, followed by, and again, as soon as I heard school bus, I investigated, number one. When this came in, by the way, this document was left at the old town hall. And it happened to be picked up because somebody went over there to check the building, not me. This was given to me. But by the same token, all right, enough people expressed concern about the congestion at Center Street and 138, okay? By the same token, I will point out that there have been sign holders at Main Street in the past, and sign holders at Center Street, and across from the post office, and further up 138. Never got complaints about congestion, okay?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say one last time, the congestion was not caused by the sign holders, the congestion was caused by the volume of traffic there that morning. The second thing and I'm done, is this is politically motivated, and I would never allow this to happen, to be read at a public hearing like this, unless the person saying this stuff is willing to step forward and have a discussion about it. And I'm open to discussion, believe me, if I've done something that offends people, discuss it with me, but have this sent in and to read this whole thing that contains so many inaccuracies that it's outrageous. And that's all I have to say, but this won't happen.
Obviously, this person doesn't think it's inaccurate,
I'm-
and neither did the people that called in.
That's my whole point.
That doesn't
You
make
can
it
write
true.
this, but if there's inaccuracies in here, we should have the opportunity to sit down with this person and discuss her perception, because that's her perception, I respect it. But if there's things we can explain in here,
There was a woman that wrote this?
I don't know who it is, I'm just using that generically.
I don't know who wrote it either.
Okay, come on, let's be.
I wouldn't have read it.
And secondly, if they want to come in this case, talk to me, I'd be glad to talk to them, I would glad to, believe me, does anybody think that we went out there that morning to try and cause traffic congestion and cause a problem? I mean, really? Do you think that?
Hey, Jack.
Does this person think that?
It's a perception of whoever wrote it and the people that called in here.
I
It's a
can't re-
perception about the police officer that was present in uniform with a cruiser, but they thought that
He did have
person
a
was
cruiser.
on duty.
And let me say this, if it's your perception, then you have a responsibility to come forward so that we can discuss your perception. I've said this to you before, perception is reality. If this is what you perceive, that's your reality, and I respect that. But also, it's your responsibility to discuss what you see so that we can address it. And that's how I approach life. And I'm not gonna, but this is very upsetting. And I'm surprised that you have done this. I'm surprised that.
I didn't write that.
I'm surprised you brought it up here. I'm surprised that Mr. Cronin sits here.
One more time.
Without explanation about it.
I asked that this be put on the agenda
Okay.
simply because of the number of calls that came in. I got this today. When I read this, as I said, the calls came in, my main concern was school bus accident. Who was on it? Were there any kids on it? Whose bus was it? Where was it going? That's what I followed up. That was the information I got back. As far as I was concerned, once my concern about school bus kids was resolved, I was all set. There were still complaints about the congestion that was perceived at the intersection. Then this arrived.
Respectfully, I would have at least expected you to give me a copy of this before you read it publicly.
I didn't get one either.
And
Don't feel
this is a
bad.
graphist.
I just passed these out tonight.
Okay, but don't you
No,
think that Mr.
I didn't get one.
Zagrafis is coming in here the same as I am, totally blindsided by this? And that's all I have to say, but I think this is outrageous.
It is.
I think that for the chairman of this board to sit there without saying a word, one way or the other,
What would you like me to say?
Once
I
it
don't know,
was
but say
verified that
We
the
were
fact-
handed this morning.
Once it was verified that the facts in the letter were not true, it should not have been read.
that's all I have to say.
How is it verified? There is no verification.
I have-
We
We have,
verified that there was
Do you have
not a
any-
bus
Do you have any
accident,
questions?
correct?
Do you have
we
any
have
Correct.
2 points of opinion here. There are people out there, more than us sitting in this room tonight, who called in or
And
complained
I
or
respect
whatever.
that, but hopefully you know who they are. Because if everybody's sending in anonymous complaints, I don't know if it's by the same person. I don't-
Maybe all those people that contacted us should have been here tonight also.
Absolutely. Or we shouldn't be dealing with this. But that's all I have to say, and if you have any questions for me, I'd be willing to answer them.
You talked about when you become a selectman, you wouldn't allow this to happen.
Yes.
I'm going to make this very clear. Since I'm not waiting to become a selectman, and since I was elected to sit on this board, I asked permission to have this on the agenda.
Sure.
Permission was granted.
Okay.
I will take full responsibility for making information available to the public that comes in, that when I first get it, I addressed my major concern, the school bus involvement. It got resolved. However, when this came in today, this brought back the complaints and the gripes and everything else. And the fact that this individual was there, I guess, when the school bus incident, I'll call it, took place, it's clear to me there's a number of people out there talking about the whole thing. And as an elected member of this board is sitting here tonight that's got another year to go, I'm just telling the general public in Dayton, when something like this comes down the pike, I will make it public. It's up to you, the voting public, to have your opinion on this, to ignore it, to say, I don't care, I'm glad that no kids were on the bus, or no kids got hurt, I'm glad all of that. By the same token, okay, there has been criticism of the Board of Selectmen for years. Last time I was on, now. Oh, the selectmen get stuff and they hide it, they sit on it. This selectman will. This selectman will. Whatever you think of my action in releasing this is fine. I don't have a problem with it. But whoever wrote it, and for the people that called in, I want you to know, if I think you have a legitimate complaint, I will make it public. Can we resolve all the issues? No. But I'm not going to be accused of you knew about it and did nothing. So that's where I'm coming from, folks.
I'm asking you not to do anything, Nancy, but let me point something else respectfully. I am also a citizen of this community, as is Mr. Zagrafis, and we should be treated with the same respect and the same, that everybody else, including the woman inside.
Jack, if, you keep saying a woman wrote this.
Well, I'm assuming, okay, I'm sorry I said that. What, does that
Well, you
matter?
got a thing about women?
Oh, Nancy, don't go there with me. Do
I will
not go there
certainly
with
go
me.
there. You twice refers to this
What does that
as
have
a
to do with anything?
female.
What does that have to do with
You
anything?
raised the issue of a woman.
No, you raised
But
it.
I will also say this about
Thank
respect.
you for showing your colors,
The
please.
respect,
All right, well,
you aren't
I
qualified.
think we should be done.
That's enough of
Really?
this. Okay, you
I'm
can sit
fine.
down now.
Fine.
We're gonna move on
Listen,
with
can I
your,
say just a couple of things? I'll try to be as nice as possible. As far as the congestion, there was only 7 people on the corner. I believe there was 3 of us on the west side of Center Street, and there was 4 on the east side of Center Street. And there was no congestion, and there was really no traffic backups. I'm sorry that it had to come this far, but I can see that this is politically motivated, and I can see that there's a problem with the Board of Selectmen getting along, all 3 of you. And I can see where Mrs. Goulart is trying to help Mr. Cronin with the election here, and it's just not fair.
That's your opinion.
that's your
And
opinion.
you said that Mr. Zagrafis has 1 year left now. He has 2 years. Nancy, I've known you a long time, and I like you as a person, but as a selectman, you're very unbearable. And I think you have 1 year left. I don't think you'll ever be
I've already
reelected.
said that.
You will never be
If you remember,
reelected.
Mr. Woods,
I like you as a
I
person.
didn't run the last time.
You're right.
As the
And I
chair.
supported you the last time, but you're out of control, man.
But I will say, in all honesty, for anyone to question my true colors, I don't know what that means, but if it talks about responding to public.
Respond to the fact that you said
Listen, with no name is not the public.
With talking about whether or not I seriously uphold the oath I took. When a
Oh, I
person
know you
runs for
will.
office,
I know you will.
when you run for office, you are saying to the people of Dayton, will you support me? Do you think I can do the job? My only promise to the people of Dayton was, if elected, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah.
All right? Now, I also took an oath of office. What I'm seeing, which is very disturbing in some instances, there are people elected to public office on all levels, that once they come through the door, the oath means nothing, and it becomes, what's in this for me? What do I get out of it? What can I do? Who can I help out? Who can I take care of? That's not what public office is. That's where I'm coming from. I mean, to question my true colors, really?
I didn't question the true colors. You made a statement, I have a problem with women. That's an outrageous statement to
No,
make.
the colors
If you
was
think-
before you talked about that,
If you
her,
think-
or...
If you think someone's walking either, I'd like to know who you're talking about. You talking about me or are you talking about Brett? If you are, let's be clear.
Brett hasn't said anything.
Yeah,
Brett,
right.
I don't think I need to dignify this charade with a response, quite
Are you
frankly.
talking
Thank
about-
you.
Yes. Believe me, Nancy, I had a long career, successful career. I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, and I would never take advantage of a political position or any other position. So if you're thinking that, you're totally wrong.
I was making a general statement, just like you said you were doing.
Okay, well, okay, I'm totally clear about that, because that's not me.
Because I would never question your true colors or anything else. Because true colors to me, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, represent
I said that
the
in
job I was
response, I
elected
said
to
that in
do,
response, I
my
said,
feeling towards the government, and my respect for the flag.
that's not what I'm
And that's
talking
where I'm
about.
going to leave off.
You said to me, you have a problem with women. That's when I said, made that statement. That's all it was about. I'm not questioning your loyalty or your job here. I think you're a very intelligent woman. I think you're dedicated to this town and I respect it.
I'm a very intelligent woman.
I know, I said
Can
that.
I be just looked at as a selectman and not as a woman?
Sorry. I mean, I don't see that as being derogatory. You're
No,
making
no.
a mountain out of a molehill.
No,
I think
taking a
we
mountain.
should move on. I think this is such.
I do too.
We're gonna move on to the announcements.
Brett, you all set? They're just gonna let them move on? and
That's enough, we're going on with the meeting here. Trash bag, shops, disposal containers, and recycling stickers are all for sale at the Board of Selectmen's office. You can call 508-669-6431 for more information. Burning season is now through May 1st, 2017. Permits may be obtained at the Dayton Fire Station, 300 Main Street, for $10. Please make checks payable to the town of Dayton. There is a winter parking ban in effect until April 1st. No parking is allowed on any street during this time. Landfill stickers are available at the transfer station during regular hours on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Payment by check only made payable to the town of Dayton for $15. Registration is required for the vehicle being permitted, and stickers are not transferable. Candidates Night will be held on Monday, March 20th at the Dayton Middle School at 7 p.m. The event is sponsored by the Friends of the Dayton Public Library. Senator Mark Pacheco will be at the Council on Aging at 300 Lincoln Avenue in the Lincoln Village Community Center on Tuesday, March 21st from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. If you would like an appointment, please call 508-823-0095. The deadline to submit warrant articles for the annual town meeting is March 27th, 2017 at 3 p.m. Please complete your town census and return as soon as possible. There are vacancies on the Historical Commission, the Cable Commission, and the Open Space Committee. The Dayton Lions Food Bank distribution will be held on March 25th in the lower level of Town Hall. There will be a rabies clinic on April 29th at the North Dayton Fire Station. More information to follow. The last day to register to vote in the election is Monday, March 20th. The town clerk's office will be open for voter registration from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Dayton Police Station from 4:30 to 8 o'clock. So it's here at Town Hall from 8 to 4:30, and for those that can't make it to Town Hall by 4:30, you can go to the Dayton Police Station and register from 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Applications for absentee ballots are available and may be obtained from the town clerk's office. If you have any questions, you can contact the town clerk at 508-669-6431, option 3. And the annual town election will be held Saturday, April 8th, 2017, at the Dayton Elementary School, and the polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're going to continue on the front for those that have the agenda. Under announcements, the Dayton Fire Rescue's recent announcement regarding snowstorm preparation. This was a little article that was printed off for the board today, and it was initiated by the Dayton Fire Rescue. Due to the uncertainty of the storm, the Dayton Fire Department has prepared in advance. During large storms or severe weather, Chief McGee implements a severe weather standby at both Station 1 and Station 2. This means that in addition to the normal duty crew, there are staffed fire apparatus as well as a fully staffed advanced life support ambulance at each station throughout the day. By keeping staffed resources on both ends of town in severe weather, we are able to ensure that we can reach an emergency anywhere in town in a safe and timely manner. And it ends by saying, be safe. I think this is a tremendous idea. This is a new concept that I believe Chief McGee has put into implementation, whereas both stations are manned during heavy storms and severe storms, so that the response time anywhere in the town is much greater. And, you know, our hats are off to you for implementing this, and great job. Another announcement, the Anawan Pharmacy. We have an announcement that came in today regarding, and I believe this came from the clerk's office, the town clerk. This is Healthy Kids Free Vitamin Program. There is a new pharmacy on Route 44 in Rehoboth. It's called Anawan Pharmacy, open 7 days a week, 8 to 8. Not that we're pitching this, but this is a worthwhile opportunity for people with young children. And I'll read this poster, which will be posted out here at the entrance to our office. Like you, we are concerned about your child's health. Sometimes they don't get the nutrition that you want. Our pharmacy has a desire to address the potential health and nutritional deficits that face today's school-age children, and this program helps meet that need. Anawan Pharmacy is offering all area children ages 4 years and up free monthly supplies of chewable multivitamins to help aid in the nutrition boost that your child may need. Simply ask for your free 30-count bottle of Nature's Blend Children's Chewable Multivitamin at the pharmacy counter. A healthy community partnership. And just a little criteria with this, there will be a limit of 1 bottle per child per month. And a request must be made by either a parent or a legal guardian of that child. So anyone that is interested in this, you can call for more information. Again, this is Anawan Pharmacy on Winthrop Street in Rehoboth. Telephone number 774-901-2445. Next on the announcements, these are all additional announcements. There will be a meeting of the Board of Health next Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. Some items to be discussed are the hazardous waste day, bulky item pickup day, and some issues that exist at 2651 Pleasant Street. And the last announcement, official ballot for the annual town election.
Thank you.
This is the official ballot that's posted for the annual town election, April 8th, 2017. On this ballot are the following. Under Selectmen, Vote for one for a term of 3 years. The candidates are Dean V. Cronin, Zachary M. Karen, John P. Taylor. For town moderator for 1 year, William E. McKeon, Jr. For Board of Assessors for a term of 3 years, uncontested, Pamela J. Waller. Dayton Rehoboth Regional School District Committee. Do not vote for more than 2. And again, these are uncontested. There are 2 candidates, Eliza M. Kuchar and Janice M. Terry. For Planning Board, for a term of 5 years, uncontested, Joseph Figueredo. Public Library Trustee, for a term of 3 years, uncontested, Ronald J. O'Connor. Parks and Recreation Commissioner, for 3 years, uncontested, Suzanne P. Cody. Sewer Commissioner, for 3 years, uncontested, Carol A. Beauregard. And the last will be Dayton Housing Authority for a term of 5 years, uncontested, Annabella Powell. So there is your ballot. We will read this up until the election date on April 8th.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, as was announced, the Board of Health meeting, one of the agenda items is the Hazardous Waste Day. We budgeted for this and asked if people wanted it last summer or last fall. We didn't hear from anybody. We don't do that in the winter time. So we're coming up on the spring season. This is the last time prior to the end of the fiscal year that we will be able to do this. So if you have hazardous waste or would like to have a hazardous waste sometime before the end of June, please give the Selectmen's office, Board of Health office a call. Let us know if you have hazardous waste that you want to get disposed of, and if there is a specific month that would be good. Only one person has come in so far. In order for a hazardous waste day to be beneficial, we've got to have more than just one person with something. So we'll announce this next week at the Board of Health meeting, but if you have something now and you think you want to have the town do this, please just give us a call and let us know so we have an idea. And you can also let Karen or Roz know what it is that you want to dispose of, because we've got to get the appropriate disposal services on board for this. Thank you.
I don't believe we have any old business tonight. So on to new business, review, discuss, and act on the fiber optic connectivity for the Dayton schools.
Mr. Chairman, on March 13th, there was a meeting here, and present were Catherine Antonellis, the DR Business Manager, Ryan McGonigal, the DR IT Manager, Jim Aguiar, Ken Bell from TMLP, Taunton Municipal Light, and I was here. The Regional School District is looking to improve their internet services. Currently, they have Comcast, and I won't go into that anymore. But anyhow, they put out a proposal to see who could help them improve their internet services, internet connection, that whole thing. The company, or the agency they chose to do business with, is Taunton Municipal Light Plant. And what we found out was that TMLP has a number of businesses out there. They only have about 150 individual subscribers, like homes. But they have a large number of businesses that are subscribers. So the town of Rehoboth, for its schools and for the regional high school, has already made arrangements with TMLP to get this service. I don't know how that works as far as stringing wires and all that, because I believe Rehoboth is a national grid community. In the case of the Dayton schools, of course, we have our elementary and middle school right here, and the Aggie School over on Center Street. We found out that when the new bridge was constructed, there are 3 conduits that were built into the bridge. One of them is available for public use. Therefore, I got in touch with Verizon and found out that one of those conduits can be used for the wire needed to bring TMLP services from the Berkeley side of the river, through the bridge, along those new poles that are on Center Street, and up and around the corner to get to our 2 schools. So, Mr. Bell explained this whole situation to us. We've submitted a profile sheet to Verizon. The profile sheet indicates who the town official is that they would be dealing with, and a lot of information about the town. What Verizon has to tell the town is, if it has free pole space to string wires, or a wire. If in fact those new poles on Center Street that are so high have free municipal space, a line can be strung over to the intersection at Center Street. I don't know if we have, I'll call it free space on the poles on Route 138 for the short distance we would need it to make the turn onto 138 and then go over to the schools. So another thing we talked about was if we can bring TMLP internet to the Center Street intersection, could the town office building, this one we're in, and the old town hall next door be connected? And the answer is yes. So that would also bring high-speed internet to these buildings. So the next steps for the town, we have to review the Comcast franchise agreement to see if in fact there is no exclusivity clause that only allows Comcast to bring that service into town. The other thing we have to do is wait for Verizon to tell us if we have space on the poles. Now, if we don't have space, and everyone seems to think we have space, there would not be a cost of renting space on a pole. So again, this is a cost situation. What the regional school district has asked us to do as a board in preparation for the school committee meeting next Tuesday night is to give them a vote that basically says the town of Dayton is interested in pursuing the internet connection for the schools, and we support the request of the regional school district to do this. Now, the regional school district gets what is called an E-rate discount. There would be a substantial discount of 60% to be able to do the, I'll call it cabling that is required. That 60% would be beneficial to the town of Dayton. In addition to that 60%, the regional school district is entitled to another 20%. It's not a discount, it's 20% of grant funding. The town is not eligible for grant funding, but if the town agrees to pursue this with the district, the town is eligible for the E-rate 60% discount. So what the regional school districts is hoping to do is to bring that internet service to our schools with the 60% E-rate plus the 20% grant funding. The reason they're asking us to give them a vote of support, and a vote of support is not a final commitment for cost, because none of us have those cost numbers right now. We have cost estimates. But again, we've got some conditions that we've got to find out about as far as whether or not the Comcast contract has an exclusivity clause. Also, depending upon whether or not we have free space on the poles, after a 5-year period, the town would have to take over the maintenance of the lines. The school district would be involved also because of the lines going into the school and that whole connection. The second scenario is, if certain conditions are not met, TMLP will not turn the system over to the town/regional school district, but will be responsible for maintaining the entire thing, including within the buildings. So that's why we got a lot of details to check out, and there are people working on this. So, moving forward, what they're looking for us tonight is a vote from the Board of Selectmen to move ahead with preliminary steps for the fiber optic, including the discounted E-rate and grant funding for the Dayton Elementary and Middle Schools. So that's what the school department wants to know about. But on the other end of that, not part of the motion is, if they get it, we can get it for this building and for the old town hall. So we're not making a commitment to spend money tonight, but the school committee wants to know if the town, through the Board of Selectmen, would support it going to the schools. I contacted Mr. Dempsey at the Aggie School, told him about this meeting, because they've got a huge building project that will be starting up. It's going to go right by their school if we're able to do this. They don't have to get involved now, but if this goes through and down the road, when they get their buildings and all their project done, if they so choose, they can tie into this. So that's where we are with the whole thing right now. So I'm going to make a motion that this board vote to move ahead to notify the DR School Committee that the board supports moving ahead with the preliminary steps for fiber optics for the elementary and middle school, including the discounted E-rate and the grant funding.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So I think after DR has their meeting next week, and Mr. Bell at TMLP, he's doing a lot of this investigation. We hear back from Mr. Tolan at Verizon. I think that's probably going to take a while, but we'll give the residents updates from time to time on what's happening with this. And when all the numbers are in, we'll be coming back to the town with a financial report and going forward, what kind of money that we might be talking about at the town level.
Nancy, do you know that all the poles that we may need, are they all Verizon owned or some owned by National Grid?
I talked to Mr. Tolan at Verizon. All of the new poles that were set on Center Street as part of the bridge project are Verizon poles. There's a question about 138 because National Grid services the area, but as we've seen before, if somebody comes in for a pole permission to set a pole, something, it's always the Verizon person, even if it's a National Grid pole. So I think what Mr. Bell said from TMLP, if the poles on 138 don't have free municipal space, because they're not as tall as the ones on Center Street. To set a pole, it's in the thousands, it's a lot of money. But he also indicated that TMLP might be willing to set a pole to handle these wires. So I don't know how all that works with utility companies, but he did say that was an option.
Okay.
So the largest amount of linear cable, the poles involved are Verizon poles. So,
Next on the agenda, reports. Do we have any reports? Any reports? No reports. We don't have any acknowledgements, I don't believe. Any other public input?
oh, I know, I got a report. I got one report, little report. For all of us who are following, he's gonna kill me for this. For all of us that are following the adventures of Mr. Ferry and Molasses, Channel 6 did a story about him, although I understand part of it got preempted by the governor's message about the big storm that came. But also the Mass Municipal Association Beacon, which is the monthly newsletter, came out, did an article. So congratulations, Tom. And by the way, great job on the roads this time. Got us through the ice and the snow and the slush and everything else. So thank you, everybody at the Highway Department.
Public input? Tom?
Well, I was hoping I didn't have to speak tonight, but we talk about perception and I see what's going on, and I think it's a shame what's going on with this board today. I served 9 years. We all served here. Nancy served some years. And we all worked together the best we could, and we didn't exclude people from anything. It was always a 3-member board, discussions, and that's how we arrived at decisions that were in the best interest of the town. Selectman Zagrafis received 500 some odd votes, possibly a year ago, to win the seat on the Board of Selectmen. He received those 500 votes because the residents felt he could be a voice for them, and a voice for me because I voted for him. On any given day, I think you can find there are open meeting law violations going on in this office in here. Ask anybody who works here, who comes here. There's always at least 2 or 3 people in that office, and you can't tell me you're not discussing business. That's the perception. We want to talk about perception. Furthermore, just to let you know, because it will get to you, I'm going to be asking for all the agendas of extra meetings the Board of Selectmen had over this past 6 months, 9 months. I say that because I feel there's a lot of meetings going on in the day that this member cannot attend because he works full-time. And that's a shame. This was not a full-time position to begin with. It's morphed into that over the last 3 or 4 years. It's what drove me out, it's what drove Matt Tanis out, but this man will not be driven out. That's all I've got to say.
With that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Public input, right?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I have a question regarding hazardous waste day.
okay.
Have you provided the townspeople with a list of stuff that they could bring so they have an idea as to when they can bring it, or if they have these items? And do you also have a fee schedule? I know the last time you had a hazardous day, there was a fee schedule, and I think the townspeople would like to know that. so that you can then.
Right, the hazardous waste list is available, and it does get mailed out when Sue does that mailing, and I'm not sure if it's,
No, I'm saying before you schedule it, so I can know
okay.
if I
all
have
right.
any of these items in my
Yeah,
house.
the
so
list
that I
is
can
available.
Let the board know what day we
It
have.
gets mailed out, it is available, we've got extra copies. And I
It's
believe it's
available.
part of the mailing that Sue does at least once a year when she has to send out all this information. We don't have a fee schedule yet because we need to know if people want it, because we've only heard from one resident, and we need a general idea of what it is they want to dispose of, so that when we go out to hire a company or companies, we can say, we anticipate the following types of hazardous waste. So, do they give us a price per gallon, or Tom, you've done this, is it a
What's
price?
that?
Hazardous waste, is it a price per gallon if it's a liquid, and if it's a
Yes.
container, like if it's a, weed killer or pesticide?
Depends if it's liquid or solid.
Okay, if it's solid, it's probably, is it by weight or unit, container? Do you remember? I don't remember.
No.
Anyhow, at the Board of Health meeting next week, I will ask to have some copies of that handout, and we will have them, you can probably put them out in the
And could it be read at that meeting
area,
also?
yes, we can. And the main thing right now is because we've missed summer and fall, and we don't do it in the winter. We've only got one season left before we come up to the end of the fiscal year. And since we budgeted money for it, if we're gonna do it, we need to know that. But yes, that information will be available next week. And we can read it.
I just wanted to know what former Selectman Tom Myers had said regarding the way things look in this office. Yeah, I've come here twice last week, and I've seen 2 selectmen sitting in an office, and I, like Tom, I don't believe that things aren't being discussed. And I think it's unfair. And then this, as Tom said, this is not a full-time job. I wouldn't want to see any of you have to sit here 3, 4, 5 days in a row. It's not fair to you, it's not fair to the townspeople. When these 2 or 3 people sitting together, there's bound to be a conversation that comes up that regards the townspeople, and we need to know about that. That should be public. So I agree with Tom Myers regarding that. And this gentleman works during the day. It's up to the rest of the selectmen to work on his schedule. Not that you schedule, I'm not speaking to you specifically, I'm looking at you, but not you specifically, or the people. But meetings have to be scheduled that he's able to go to. It's convenient for him also. It's not just convenient for the 2 people who are retired.
The Board of Selectmen schedule, first of all, it's a Board of Selectmen, Board of Health, as we all know.
How come the chairman never answers any of these questions, ma'am? He just sits there and he clicks his pen week after week, and you do all the talking.
He's free to speak, but I'm gonna tell you where I'm coming from, because I'm one of the people that they've seen in here in the building, okay? And he's the other one. Getting back to what I was starting to say, Board of Selectmen, Board of Health is considered part-time jobs. I got news for you guys, it's 24/7, I've said that from day one, 24/7 as far as being available.
My job is
Now-
24/7 too. I work, it's a full-time job.
When I am not in this office doing stuff, I'm doing stuff at home, okay? There's people in this room that can tell you, I've done emails, at some weird hour in the morning, and then the remark is made, don't you ever sleep? And I say, sometimes I have to work on stuff and get it out. Because sending out an email, like with the exception of one individual who has his email.
I'm speaking
code.
regarding meetings. That's what I'm speaking about. I know it's a very,
When I come
it's a
into
job
this
that most of us don't
building,
want.
when I come into this building, it's because I have worked on stuff, documents, whatever. I've been out at meetings. That's another thing. I'm out of here a lot because I'm the only one covering Board of Health meetings. I shouldn't be the only person covering Board of Health meetings, but that's the case. But I'll do it because I'm chairman of the Board of Health. By the same token, when I'm in there, I may have prepared something. Whoever is sitting in that office with me, whether it's Brett, Dean, one of them, Karen, whoever, I may be telling them, I got this stuff put together. It's not a meeting that's going on, but by the same token, asking for the agenda, go back the last year, you will see when meetings were held. You will see when there were grievance hearings, negotiation. I gotta tell you, collective bargaining is not done at night. Collective bargaining is done when the union and the selectmen can meet. The other thing is, we have tried to work around Brett's schedule because with his new job, he said 8 to 10 in the morning, and on his day off, he's available. He's not here between 8 and 10 in the morning because he's got his own schedule. I can tell you that a lot of the work I do at home, because I can't spend the time in this building, but I gotta do the work. I mean, so if the blurb, I heard that before I was on the board. It occurred when I was on the board umpteen years ago, that there would be more than one selectman sitting in there at one time. But I will also tell you, back then, the structure of the selectman's office was different. Board of Health did not have as much to do as it does now. The person who was the secretary ran the office.
Isn't my understanding that the Board of Health was gonna be a separate, we voted almost a year ago?
The key word is going to be,
When?
the phrase.
I'm just concerned, when?
As a matter of fact, on next week's Board of Health agenda, the chairman said the report won't be ready, but he's gonna come in and give us an update, because people keep asking us the same thing. But while we're waiting, you can't let this stuff
I
go,
understand that.
all right? So the fact that I'm physically present in this building, when there is another selectman, and I don't care which selectman it is, does not mean there is a meeting going on.
Well, are there discussions going
Perception.
on? Are there discussions going on that should be out in the public? Should be an open meeting that the public gets to see? Are there discussions going on in that office right there?
Not that I'm involved in.
That's what I'm asking.
Because the stuff that has to come to the public comes to the public.
We're talking about, all along, we're talking about perception. I sat there for 9 years. I know what it's like. So, you know, are there some discussions? Sometimes, sure are. So, you can't tell me that every time somebody's in there, that there's not discussions going on, because too many meetings, an item is brought up, and there's no discussion on it. Just read it, vote. There's, you know, and that's the fact of this job, because I've been there, and I know it's tough to sit there without bringing up discussion on something. But we're talking about perception again. And as far as the meetings that perhaps he's missing, when I do get the agendas, and I know there's meetings, I've seen them that could have been held at night. But somebody told me one time, I'm here all day, I'm not gonna stay all night. That's when I was serving on the board.
I'll also remind you, Tom, when you and I were on the board before, there were collective bargaining meetings when I sat in this room alone because neither of the other two members could show. We had scheduled collective bargaining meetings. I was the only one here. I made some quick phone calls and the other members were not available, even though this was posted, scheduled, and everything. All right? I sat through those meetings and went through the items and said to the union, and at that time we both had attorneys present, look, I think this one will fly, but I'm gonna write that down because I gotta ask the guys about this. We gotta vote on this, we gotta decide. I think it will fly. Not sure. This other one here, I don't think it's gonna fly, so let's put that one off. But let's see if there's any here that I think might work, because I couldn't commit to any of those things. But those things actually happened. And then eventually, when the board met for the next bargaining meeting, I could say to the board, okay, when I met the last time, this is what we talked about. I would give them a summary and say, you guys need to look at this. This is coming up on the next meeting. All I said to them was, I think it will fly. And I also told them, I didn't think these were going to fly, okay? The meeting I talked about with TMLP Internet Service a few minutes ago, that was the posted Board of Selectmen meeting. That was posted at that time because that's when we could get together with the regional school district and the people that were, the two that were coming in, and the guy from TMLP. and Jim came in because he's involved in it. I was here alone. It wasn't a problem. I took all the notes. I told Karen I'm gonna write some minutes. I wrote everything down. I got the handouts, and I said, I'll take this back to the board, because we're meeting tomorrow night. We can put this on the agenda, and we can go from there, okay? The report I gave tonight, before I made the motion, is when these guys found out about it. Now, is that wrong? I didn't agree to anything. I attended the meeting. I was the only person available to go there. It's important enough because the school committee, their meeting had changed because of the storm, because it would have been, last night. But anyhow, it was important enough to keep the meeting, to go, get all the info, and bring it back to the board tonight, because I don't have the authority to approve this, all right? That's another thing. A selectman sitting alone, and you know this, because we've had this conversation, one selectman does not have the authority to do anything.
That's right.
You gotta have at least
I give
two.
you that, you always brought it back to the board.
So, as far
But that
as,
was you alone, but when there's two people, and the third member's left out,
I have made no attempt to leave anyone out of anything.
Did I say you-
Because I'm just making a public statement. I send emails, have to be careful with emails, because it's one thing to communicate by email, but it can't turn into a discussion in an email. I mean, we all know that about open meeting and all that good stuff. But often I will send emails to a number of people because I want all of these people to hear the same message, all right? We are going to have a meeting about, and usually it's Board of Health stuff. We're going to have a meeting about dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, okay? Just tell me when you're available, all right? I have to go with when the majority of people are available, depending on who it is. There are, usually inspectors are involved, and inspections and inspectors. I got to get them together, which is one of the things we're going to be dealing with next week. Inspections have to be done because of complaints that came in, too many to ignore. People have been notified that wrote in and told the meeting will be next week, and we're going to look into it. I don't know how much we can get resolved, but we're going to do it. Now, the meeting that will be held to do the inspection is going to take place in the afternoon, because that's when I can get the inspectors together. And the other thing is, not all inspectors are available all day long. One of our inspectors works somewhere else, full-time. So, got to find out when that person's available, all right? I think it's a good idea that you get those meeting agendas. I think there's 200 and some odd meetings that were posted and attended during the past calendar year 16. But I can also tell you, and this board, these board members know, we've had to go out and do house inspections for demolition. Can only do those a certain time. But you also got to get a team together. In that case, it's not just us, it's police and fire, and it's, all the people that have to go out there. I'm pretty much available most times. And if anyone wants to know when is she available, if they look at the calendar on my desk, if I try to keep up, you can see when I'm available, whether it's personal commitments or whether it's other town stuff. But all the stuff that I have that comes in, that relates to, I think we're going to have to talk about this and have a meeting and resolve it. I'm available, period. And I don't exclude people. But, quite frankly, I expect people to show up and support. I expect every member of this board to carry their own weight, regardless. I know what it's like to work full-time and to try to do all this stuff, all right? The fact that I don't get paid doesn't mean I don't work full-time, whether it's in combination for what I hold in this town or what I do outside that I volunteer for. And those commitments, to me, are equally important to the elected position I hold. I don't put those over the elected position I hold because I made a commitment when I said I'd run. But I really think when I make 2 major fundraising commitments to my church every year, I can't tell them, I can't do it. I gotta make the time to do it. And I expect everybody that I work with up there, and everybody I work with in this building, everyone's gotta pull their weight.
Tom, I just want to address just a couple of points. You mentioned perception, appearance. I know you've always had that feeling even when we're working together.
You know me, I'm a stickler for the open meeting law.
Right. What you fail to put in perspective here is, and you know very well, every piece of correspondence, every piece of mail, every email that comes into this office, what's the procedure for it?
Well, it used to get stamped and distributed to everybody.
Exactly. It'll sit on all 3 desks until one of us, all of us, have initialed it off.
Bud used to give it back to me after the...
Well, yeah, well, that was Bud, so. But, I mean, that procedure still prevails, that it does not get back to Karen to put onto an agenda until everybody has read it. Now, the perception, I don't care if there was 2 in there sitting, 3 in there sitting, that's all it is a perception. You do know you have the right to notify the Attorney General's office and file violations, because many of people in this town have done it, because of perception, because of appearance. But as long as we follow that procedure and not make any decision, you say, well, you know, you have to talk about it. That's not the case. We've read it. We've gone through it. Or else our initials would not be on that piece of paper. So it's not that we're discussing it. We're not predetermining what the vote's gonna be, because most votes are taken right in here. But again, until 3 sets of initials on every piece of paper, it does not leave the person's desk still awaiting the initials.
I'm glad that nobody's taking this personal. At least I would hope to think we walk out of here and it stays in here.
I know I'm not.
But
Well, it doesn't stay in here. I know what you mean.
Already on the internet.
That's the way it goes. If nobody minds, and I think it's a good time, so we're publicized, so what? At least it's town government in action. I'd like to hear what Selectman Zagrafis has to say about his situation, and if there is a situation, you know, how he feels as a member of this board, and is it clicking, is it working, you know, because the town doesn't want to hear this stuff.
I agree.
They look for a working 3-member board that's going to represent them
Well, at
fairly.
least one person thinks the board's working.
We don't know who that person is, so I wish you'd
I don't-
stop referring to that.
Yes.
How did that piece of correspondence get on the agenda when we didn't sign off on it?
Yeah.
I'm
What
curious
I
about
said
that.
to you was, in the beginning...
I'm talking about what the chairman said to me, what he said to the people of Dayton right now. He said nothing gets on the agenda, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman. Nothing gets on the agenda.
On the agenda,
No, that's
right.
not what you said. Did anybody hear that?
If it's an act, to review, discuss an act, you know it has to go through all
There's
desks.
not enough time on that, but
I just want, can I make a couple of...
It got on the agenda, Brett, to answer your question, because when I got it, it had already dealt, because when the calls came in, the school bus accident, and this was not a meeting, but it was certainly something I had to tell him about. School bus, got it resolved, no kids got hurt, got that all,
There was no school bus.
then this came, no, you missed that part. No, you missed the part earlier in the meeting, okay? But anyhow, yeah, or go to YouTube? Whatever.
One of the best things Brett ever done.
Because Channel 9's got a problem right now, they gotta get equipment, but anyhow. This came in as correspondence. This did not come in as an item that needed to be voted on. When I got this, I said to Dean, with all the calls I got, and I thought this whole thing had been resolved, I would like this on the agenda tonight. I requested that it be on there. That's why it's under correspondence. It's not an action item. It's on there because I am not gonna stuff stuff under the rug that has this board, and when I say this board, I'm talking the Board of Selectmen, historically has been accused of stuffing stuff under the rug and not making public information